Hey, it's Mary here, and today I'm starting the dispatch in another community garden site I'm working at, Bread and Roses at Trinity Episcopal. I'm sitting here with a small harvest which will be going out to families in Charlottesville who are in quarantine with COVID-19. When I think about ecological and food justice and work in these gardens, a text that I often think of is the Book of Ruth. I would recommend reading or rereading the whole thing. It is a short story with lots of dialogue and contains some of the most popular biblical poems for both contemporary worship music and same-gender weddings, but I will offer a short summary. The Book of Ruth was recorded in a time when the Jewish people were navigating their identities as a community and a nation, their relationship to outsiders and to the vulnerable, and wrestling with a question of who God's love was for. Ruth begins in her homeland, Moab. There is a severe famine. Her husband has died, and she is alone with her mother-in-law, Naomi, and sister-in-law, Orpah. They have lost loved ones, safety, and their source of food. Faced with a choice for how to go on, Ruth decides to follow Naomi into a new land for a new beginning. She chooses to take up a new family and create a new home. After they reach the land of Judah, Naomi asks Ruth to go and glean a nearby field. In much of the Hebrew Bible, there are rules in place to protect the vulnerable by requiring those with land and farms to leave part of the field unharvested for anyone who might come. If a landowner is living justly and with God, he allows anyone who may need it to enter and harvest what remains. One person's enjoyment does not prevent anyone from being able to enjoy the abundance of creation. So Ruth is gleaning, and we learn that Naomi has actually taken Ruth to glean in a field which belongs to a wealthy relative, Boaz. When Boaz sees Ruth gleaning in his fields and learns who she is, he not only allows her to continue, but encourages her and offers her more water and protection. When Naomi hears this, she makes a cunning and somewhat subversive plan to get Boaz to be what is called a kinsman redeemer. Ultimately, he marries Ruth, which provides the family with home, food, and safety, despite their ages and past, and a start at a new life. The Book of Ruth paints a somewhat idealistic picture of how people treat one another in a particular era, but is still one we can learn from today. It shows a chosen family learning how to move through grief and loss, and both offering and accepting welcome and comfort when it's needed. When faced with difficult choices, characters in the Book of Ruth always favor good relationships and faithfulness to one another. We continue to wrestle with questions about relationships between the vulnerable, immigrants, people from different religions, cultures, or races. While we may not all have harvests to leave for gleaners or bodies capable of growing and gleaning, there are so many ways that we can offer radical hospitality, inviting others to share spaces, resources, and opportunities we have around us, and allowing others to share with us. In the Book of Ruth, God's power, and ideally our power, is used in solidarity with the vulnerable. And God's love, and ideally our love, extends beyond the circles we see and we know. God's love extends beyond what is familiar and comfortable. And God's love and our love extends to all people and all places. And so I return to the garden, because it is one of the new ways that Wesley is participating in this radical love and offering alternative ways to think about food, land, and mutual care in our world. We can enjoy it ourselves and share its abundance with the community around.